let's shift to the more practical. If you were talking with someone who experienced this disconnect or this betrayal of their body and was looking to reconnect with their bodies, what would they look for? What would be, let's start first with like looking for a yoga studio or a yoga guide for somebody who comes from this experience of having some physical limitations. I like to talk about the chemo being like we've literally been pumping poison into our bodies for years. Where does somebody start if they're looking at starting to explore yoga?
Like a true, wonderful, supportive yoga teacher and yoga space will welcome folks wherever they're at. And so that's really important, to find a space where you feel like you can show up exhausted, where you can show up and maybe they have planned a flow class or whatever, a balancing class, and you can be there online or in person. And they say things like I tried to demonstrate in the meditation at the beginning, if you'd like to take this laying down, if you'd like to lean against the wall, where they say things like, you can take this class lying down the entirety of the class, where there's a real focus on bringing the autonomy back to that word, right? Yoga is about sovereignty. It's about autonomy back to you, that practitioner. And where the teacher is making sure that you feel in charge of your experience, and they're there to offer options and kind of guide, but always you get to be the one to determine where your practice goes. And so also that they're not using words that create a hierarchy. It's subtle, but saying things like, for the fullest experience of this pose, think of how that sounds, right? If I'm doing a practice and I'm doing it here and they're like, for the fullest extension of this pose, send your arms out, but I can't do that. I'm going to feel like, ooh, I'm not doing the fullest. So that doesn't feel so good to me. And so I look for teachers who say one option is, another option is, without hierarchy. So teachers who cue without hierarchy, but also teachers who know enough to not just be like, everyone who can't do this, go into balasana, into child's pose, because that's not helpful either. And I will say, I've been that teacher where I wasn't really sure how to cue when someone came with a specific situation or something that they were dealing with. And I think it's our responsibility as yoga teachers, so if anyone's listening is like a yoga teacher, to get the training to learn how to give options. And so just as an example, for any shape, like for tree, which is where you stand on one foot and use the other foot to balance, to be able to guide tree on your back against a wall, holding onto a chair, or standing on the mat. And then to guide each shape in, guide us all into the shapes, talk about the benefit of tree, which is focus, connection to the earth, right? If I'm laying on the ground, if I'm against the wall, if I'm sitting, if I'm standing, and then bring us out together. So there's a way that we're connecting as a community, regardless of how we're each practicing. So I look for teachers who do that, which again doesn't mean our yoga teachers have to be perfect, and not putting that on teachers either. There may be times where you're like, well, that teacher really messed that up for me. I didn't enjoy that, but hopefully there's a relationship there where you can say, hey, that just totally didn't work for me. Can you research some options? So next time, I can experience that with a little more ease.